Okay, so Judy didn't come to the door that day that we went by there to clean her place for her. And she was supposed to be there. Her car was there. I had a bad feeling. I knew something wasn't right. And so we went down the road. Her brother was just up the road a little bit and had him come down. And we all searched the house, Josh and I and her brother. And Josh found her. She had fallen down the steps into the basement and called 911. Josh performed CPR on her until the ambulance was able to get there. And Judy didn't make it. She died. So I needed a job. And so Bob and Irene, they needed somebody to help them because they had to get rid of the one that had been. And so I went down, I did an interview, and was hired on the spot. Now, Bob, he was a gruff man. And I didn't realize, I mean, I had known him all my life, but I didn't realize that he actually had a very nice teddy bear side to him, basically. You had to look for it sometimes, but it was there. And he used to be a cop. Sheriff, I believe it was. Anyway, so started working down there, taking care of them, cleaning the place, and helping with errands and whatnot, and cooking the food. And Bob had diabetes and some other issues. Mind you, he was a relative, but only by marriage, so we're not blood related. But I had never really had any contact with anybody with diabetes before. I mean, I knew when I was in school there was a girl that she had to check her blood there for a little bit, but it seemed like it was just for a little while and then she wasn't doing it anymore. So I don't know what was up with that. But he had the diabetes and he had other health issues. And I really worked on recipes, trying to find things that he would like, that he could have. And I tweaked them and I made them better. And there towards the last, when he went to the doctor, his levels were the best they'd ever been. So I did pretty good. And I guess that was my little introduction to being aware of food for diabetics and that. But he had an issue, and I won't go into it, but he was getting it taken care of. But he was depressed. He was worried. And he was taken to the doctor. I didn't take him for doctor visits. His daughter did. And I knew he had said that they had changed his medication. He didn't say what it was for, but his behavior changed. And if he was gruff before, he became really gruff and difficult to work for. But I figured it was the body getting rid of the old drug, getting used to the new drug, and that it was a temporary thing. And the one day, I was having trouble with my car. I had somebody that was giving us a ride, and I remember him being really bad that day, and I sat at the table and I talked with him. And before I left, he seemed so much better. He actually was smiling, but things were a lot worse than I had realized because I didn't know they had put him on a drug for depression. And I had heard things, and if I had known, I would have said something, not to him, but maybe his daughter, for her to be aware and maybe see if everything was okay. But I had no idea that that's what they had put him on. And so I left, and when came for work the next day, he wasn't there. And nobody knew where he was. He had disappeared. He had been seen the night before, I think it was like around 8 o'clock or something, at the local cemetery, and talked with somebody that lived in the area that knew him. And I don't know, from what I understand, he just kind of blew it off. Bob was saying about how he lost all his friends. And to me, if he had said something like that to me, and especially in a cemetery at 8 o'clock at night, I would have been concerned. But nothing was said, nothing was done. And there was an all-out search. It was on the news. Everybody was trying to find him. And it turned out that Bob had pulled into the driveway of an empty house. And he killed himself. So that made me become really aware of how bad depression can be. Well, that's one of the things. I'll get into the other in a minute. But it made me realize just how bad depression can be. And because of that, I